Do you remember when you first discovered anime and JRPGs that challenged your understanding of the human psyche? When you thought they were just entertaining stories? When you thought it would just be straightforward to understand their deeper meanings? When you thought it would only just take a casual viewing to grasp everything? And here you are, still stuck with the same questions about what Evangelion and Persona 3 are really trying to tell us. If you keep trying to understand them as just stories about teenagers fighting monsters, then you're just going to get the same surface level interpretation as you've always have gotten. There's only one way out. Examining these works through the lens of Carl Jung's psychology, where we can finally understand these characters as people on profound journeys of self-discovery, and all battles mirror their internal struggles. In Evangelion, Shinji feels drawn to Rei not just because she's mysterious, but because she represents a part of himself he's afraid to confront, his own deep emotions, gentleness, and longing for acceptance. Rei isn't merely a dream girlfriend, she's a mirror of Shinji's own soul. Similarly in Persona 3, Makoto Yuki, the quiet protagonist, struggles to open up. His growing connection with Yukari isn't just romance. It's about learning to express feelings is hidden behind a tough, distant exterior. Through Yukari, he learns to trust, hope, and care. In Jungian psychology, this represents the anima, the hidden feminine side of a man's psyche. Facing it means becoming more complete, less afraid of your own heart. Both Shinji and Makoto are confronting this inner part of themselves. If you ever felt torn between staying tough and being honest about your fears, you've experienced this same inner struggle. Gendo Ikari refuses to face his grief over losing Yui. Instead of healing, he builds walls, hurts others, and tries to control everything. His refusal to process his pain leads to destruction. This mirrors Takaya in Persona 3, who was leader of Strega, embraces death instead of fighting for life. Like Gendo, Takaya escapes pain by pulling others into despair. This illustrates what Jung called failed individuation, when you refuse to deal with your own inner pain. This avoidance creates destruction, both within yourself and in the world around you. If you've ever bottled up emotions until they made everything worse, you've witnessed the danger of not confronting your pain. Asuka and Shinji are constantly at odds, yet drawn to each other. Deep down, they recognize part of themselves they dislike. Asuka hides her need to be loved under toughness, while Shinji conceals his anger beneath quietness. Their connection is messy, because real intimacy means facing the parts of themselves they fear the most. In Persona 3, we see this with Junpei and Chidori. Junpei is outwardly a joker, inwardly insecure. Chidori appears cold and distant, but is secretly lonely. When they connect, their relationship becomes raw and vulnerable, much like Asuka and Shinji's. Jung would call this confrontation with the shadow, those hidden, darker aspects of ourselves that we typically avoid. True connection happens when we face these parts, even when we see them in others. If someone has ever frustrated you because they reminded you of your own weaknesses, you've experienced the shadow at play. Misato appears tough externally, but internally carries old wounds, guilt about her father, fear of abandonment. Despite her pain, she tries to help Shinji and others. Similarly, Mitsuru is a collected leader, haunted by her family's past mistakes. She guides her friends, not because she's flawless, but because she understands pain. This embodies Jung's concept of the wounded healer. Sometimes, the best guides are those who have experienced their own suffering. If you've ever helped a friend through difficulty while dealing with your own problems, you've embodied this archetype. Instrumentality in Evangelion represents everyone merging into one being, eliminating loneliness, but also individuality. Shinji ultimately rejects this, realizing that pain, loneliness, and separation are part of being human. In Persona 3, the final battle against Nyx confronts death, separation, and fear, but choosing to live and connect anyway. SES doesn't erase their individuality. They accept that joy and sadness coexist in life. Jung would see this as embracing both individuality and connection. Maturity comes from accepting that you need others while remaining true to yourself. If you've ever been tempted to hide your identity just to fit in, you face this same choice that defines both these profound stories. Both Evangelion and Persona 3 show us that love, friendship, and even fighting monsters aren't about becoming perfect. They're about facing the messy, beautiful, and terrifying truth of who we really are. In both stories, the characters' relationships aren't just about romance, that they're about deep psychological and emotional growth. These relationships show us that the ultimate task of life is to become conscious of who we truly are, including all the parts we don't like or understand. This is the journey of individuation, the process of becoming the whole person we are meant to be.